ability with their fingers to actually manipulate whatever it is to build it, but they can design it, and can sit there and build it with them, and you can make a bundle. Awesome. If you're a great computer programmer, you can write a good video game that everybody wants to play, go for it. If you're a doctor and you've gone through all the school and you've come up with some new medical technique and you can save lives and you're going to make a bundle off of that, pay off all those student loans and that debt and make a bundle, you earn it. Go for it. Do it. Supply and demand. Capitalism. But are there places where we do need to draw some lines? Well, this is where I'm a little bit torn. And that is, there were people who were selling, like it was a rock concert, they were selling commemorative T-shirts for Michael Brown's funeral. T-shirts for a funeral. I was there. I was at Michael Brown's funeral. Hey, wasn't it awesome? I waved my cell phone because we don't use lighters anymore. I waved my cell phone as they sang Kumbaya or what. Come on! Have some respect for the deceased. Good Lord. Good boy, bad man, whatever the case might be. Have some respect. And if you believe, well, he's gone. You know, if you're one of those people who doesn't believe in the higher powers or an afterlife, and you just believe, okay, he's gone, that's it, can't you at least have some respect for his family? Because even if he was not the greatest kid in the world, as far as the rest of the society goes, his parents still loved him. He still meant something to them. Can't they have their time to say goodbye and mourn? Come on, folks. Yeah, yes, I believe that if there's a market for something, you should go and be able to sell stuff within reason. But T-shirts commemorating a funeral, that's just bad taste. So, my friend Liz Harrison wrote an article up on that over at Capitalism is Alive in Ferguson, Missouri, or something along those lines, over at BuzzPo. Go and read her article because she goes a little bit more in depth on what actually was going on there than my little rant here did. Well worth your reading time. So go ahead and get on that. Meanwhile, other things in the news. But Paul-Gregory, PG, you only quote BuzzPo articles. Not true. First of all, yesterday I brought one up from, I can't remember the source, but it was a great article, and it's linked in there. And I'm about to bring up one that's over in Daily Caller. So if you go over to the Daily Caller, and look for California State Senator arrested. Yes, folks. We've got another one. We've got another wonderful member of the Democratic Party arrested for drunk driving. So, Rosemary Lehman is not the only one. So, I wonder if this guy is going to start pulling the crap that she's pulling in Texas. But we'll get to exactly why it's so significant with this after I just remind you of one other person who had a habit of driving drunk. And of course we're talking about Uncle Ted. Uncle Teddy Kennedy. Yeah, wasn't he responsible for manslaughter for killing a woman because he was drunk and put his car into a river? And so evidently there's a historical trend here, folks. Become a Democrat, drive drunk, break the law like crazy, and have a long and successful career as a corrupt politician. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, California state-level Senator Ben Huesco was arrested for DUI on Friday. What did he do just a few hours prior to driving drunk? he was voting in the legislature. Now, that shouldn't come as a surprise. It's his job, isn't it? But what he was voting for was he was voting against ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft, saying he doesn't want them in the state of California. Okay. Lesson for you, Benny. If you had Uber and you had the app and you had your 6 or 7 cocktails, whatever it was that gave you the 0.8 or 0.08, which is barely over the limit. Come on, folks, we're not ridiculous. He wasn't like Rosemary Lehman where she was 3 times. He was just barely over because the limit's 0.07. But you know that you've had just a little bit too much to illegally get behind the wheel. You should have enough sense to pull open that smartphone and hit your Uber app and get the ride-sharing service to carry your butt home. You know, if he had just used Uber, then he would not have gotten his DUI. But he would rather make it so that companies like Uber and Lyft aren't around to give you those rides so that you can drive drunk. But only if you're a Democrat and only if you are in office, so that you can have that long career as a corrupt politician, folks, because that's what they're all about. But yeah, and he's, well, the interesting things is the senator has 2 brothers who own a regular type taxi cab company in San Diego. So of course he's got almost said narcissistic. I'm thinking about somebody else. But he's got his reasons there. His nepotism. There's the word. His nepotic reasons for being against Uber and Lyft, and probably several other cab companies too, because they're not owned by his brothers. So he's not able to funnel money into his family and probably get kickbacks from them if they're services like Lyft or Uber. So there you have it, folks. Another drunk driving Democrat who opposes things that would actually be beneficial to the people. Why? Because they make money for people who want to start their own businesses instead of making money for their family and friends who have their failing businesses. So, there you have it. There's your little spot of news. And again, folks, that's from the Daily Caller. Now, many kids, we have to segue into something else here, folks. Many kids started school yesterday. And that's a good thing, bad thing, kind of depends on where you live and what your local school board is like and how much of a say they actually allow the people and how much they devote to Common Core. Yes, folks, I'm beating up on Common Core. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I do want to talk about is, well, like I said, it kind of depends on where you live. If y'all remember, and it's kind of hard to forget, we've had several school shootings, including the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary. And there have been all kinds of solutions that have popped up, including making gun-free zones even more restricted, like that's really going to stop a criminal. That's more like that's a criminal magnet. To people going the exact opposite way and saying, hey, you know, maybe we should start putting armed personnel in the schools to defend the kids. What a concept. Something that can shoot back. Make it a hard target. Make it less appealing to somebody who wants to shoot up that particular school. Well, there's a Texas school that under some Texas laws has turned around and actually voted to put school marshals and send some of their teachers as well through the special qualification course in Texas to have concealed carry school administrators and teachers. And they even have a sign up in front of the school. And the sign says, "Attention, please be aware that the staff at Argyle ISD are armed and may use whatever force is necessary to protect our students." Beautiful. I love that. That's the way I am in my home. Be aware. Members of my household, the adult members of my household, are armed and trained. And we will protect our home and our family and take whatever force is necessary to do so. Now, if that force is tickling with a feather, so be it. If it requires more, it requires more. If it is shaking your hand, wishing you a nice day and saying no thank you, which is usually the case when we have a door-to-door salesman knock on the door, well, so be it. But just in case, yes, we are trained and armed. And I'm not saying armed with or trained in what, but we are. So go to one of the neighbors. Wait, most of my neighbors are also pro-Second Amendment, but I'm sure I can point you to one or two of them that voted on for the other side of the aisle and are not so Second Amendment friendly. But there you have it. A great article over in BuzzPo by Stephen Ale. Most Second Amendment stuff comes from Eric Reed, but once in a while Steve Ale or even I will kick out a Second Amendment article. Now, I did do a Second Amendment article yesterday, and I talked about it on the air before I published it. Interesting things going around. And speaking of Texas and guns, yes, this small, insignificant spot of dust that's barely big enough to be called a state that we call Texas. I kind of briefly talked about it yesterday. But Texas has, they're not as gun-friendly, at least in their laws, as everybody portrays the state to be. You want a gun-friendly state? Go to Arizona or New Hampshire or Alaska. They have constitutional carry. Other states have some level of constitutional or near constitutional open carry. Meaning that you don't have to have a permit to open carry a pistol. And some require it by permit. In any way, shape, or form, at whatever level they do their stuff, their restrictions or non-restrictions. Texas forbids the open carry of pistols unless you are a what they call a bonded, or, well, they call bonded in other states, but here they call commissioned security officer, or you are a police officer on duty. In those cases, you can open carry while you're on duty. Otherwise, you need a concealed handgun license and need to carry your handgun concealed. The only thing that you're allowed to open carry if you are a law-abiding citizen and not a member of the police force is a rifle, a long barrel rifle, be it an AR-15, an SKS, a 308, a 30-06, whatever. It has to be a rifle. And of course it has to be carried in a certain way that's non-threatening. You're not playing with your trigger, which is stupid anyway. Your finger should only go on that trigger when you want to actually shoot something. Shouldn't go nowhere near it otherwise. But that's the only thing you can openly carry. So there's a group down here who openly carries their rifles as a means of showing how ridiculous the Texas laws are, trying to get them changed so that they can allow for the open carry of pistols. Now, of course, everybody thinks that these are open carry nuts who flaunt walking around with rifles because they can. No, they're walking around with rifles because they can walk around with the rifles, but they do so because they can't walk around with open carried pistols, which is what most people would prefer, including the people that call them nuts. Well, if you think they're nuts and you wonder why they don't walk around openly carrying their pistols instead, then, well, you kind of got their point. They want that too, so why don't you go and talk to your representatives at the state level and get that law changed so that they can openly carry their pistols instead of having to walk around with the rifles. Then everybody's happy, right? Because that's what we all want. Unless your name is Shannon Watts and you've got a few thousand screws loose and those 3 or 4 brain cells just are floating around and aren't staying close to each other where you can have a coherent thought. You know, you have outbursts of emotions, but no coherent, rational thought. If you ever listen to Shannon Watts speak, she can't even get her facts straight. She tries to quote them and ends up quoting things that end up sort of proving herself wrong. And she says, no, it proves me right. No, honey, listen to what you just said. But anyway, when I went over this yesterday, I talked about what's going on down in the 5th Ward of Houston, where Open Carry Texas has been trying to arrange a rally. And they've had to postpone it a couple of times. And they've met with local actual leaders, people within the law enforcement community, as well as actual elected leadership. But they also met with the not elected, so-called leadership, people who claim that they speak for everybody and love to put words in everybody's mouths, but claim that they're in charge. Some of which don't even live in 5th Ward. They live in a different ward, but they say because they have an office on the border of 5th Ward or within 5th Ward that they have a stake in the community, which it makes a little bit of sense, but still, well, it makes a lot of sense. You know, if I had my business in one area and my house in another within the same city in 2 different council districts, I'd want to be able to talk to the city councilman, a city council person in both where I live and where my office is. So, yeah, they do have a stake, but I wouldn't say that gives them the right to speak to the people, for the people that live there. But anyway, members of Open Carry Texas, including both the leader of the local Houston chapter, as well as the overall organization president, went and met with these people, and different things have been said in the press about what happened. Well, I wrote over at BuzzPo a brief write-up talking about what I have heard and I have seen and I have read that happened there from those who were there. But to top it off, I also got video of the actual meeting, and this video is posted, and you can watch it on YouTube, or it's linked over with my article at BuzzPo. But it was posted by Open Carry Texas itself. C.J. Grisham put it up, and he's Master Sergeant Grisham is the president of Open Carry Texas. And, well, this is 14 minutes long, folks, so sit back and just listen to the meeting. This is one that actually have to play the whole thing through, and you may need to turn your volume up just a little bit because it's not all that loud. So let's take a listen. I promised this yesterday. Okay, folks, I apologize. Technical issue, like we've had in the past, where sometimes these things just don't transfer over very well. But we're going to try one more time to bring it up. If we can't, then I'll just say, hey, go over to the BuzzPo article and watch it. It's just over 14 minutes long. And for those of you who support the Second Amendment, it's really it's a good thing. And those of you who are confused about the Open Carry Texas and what they're looking to do, it gives you some better insight on what they're really about and what they're trying to do. So go and take a look at that before you go and judge them. And yeah, there we go again. The file is messed up. We're just going to have to send you over to the site. So go ahead over there to and the title of it um,